All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time that you're watching this video. I'm going to get right into this topic because it's very disturbing, in my opinion, on how the news denigrates someone who died in police custody. Yes, another man has died under what I would say again suspicious circumstances in the custody of the Wayne County Sheriff Department. One Mr. Tamarcus Copeland was found dead in his cell Tuesday, January the 23rd of 2024. And first, let me say once again my condolences to Mr. Copeland, his family, his mother, his father, his brothers, his loved one, his children. I had an opportunity to attend that funeral um, after his passing, and I learned, such wonderful things about this young man who unfortunately once again died in the custody of the Wayne County Sheriff Department. Now, the reason that I'm doing this video today is I was made aware of an article by one of his loved ones, and they were very disturbed of the contents of this article written about their loved one after his passing. And the article was written by the News Argus on January the 26th, 2024. And it states the identity of a 51-year-old dead inmate confirmed. Now, even just the title right there is kind of proving the point. A 51-year-old dead inmate, not a man. He was a man before he was an inmate. And so the title of that article actually hardens you subconsciously and psychologically to his death. Now, I'm going to go over the article with you, but I'm also going to go over some information that was relayed to me that possibly indicates some responsibility of Mr. Copeland's death by Wayne County Sheriff Office and deputies or staff. Because, of course, I did the video about Mr. Graydon Jerry Parker, who was beaten and tased until he died hog-tied, and you can go back and watch that video. And there's been several others who have been, mistreated at the hands of the Wayne County Sheriff Office, who have succumbed to their death. Now, if it was not for my own experience with being in the custody and being beaten and being mistreated, then I would not be able to confirm or even lean towards this being a factor in his death. But because I've been in those situations, I've seen how inmates, quote unquote inmates, are treated at the hands of deputies and police and investigators and detectives. Then I know that what this relative has relayed to me may have occurred. So I'm going to read the article. I'm going to go over the article and see how they try to once again harden you to this man's death. But I'm going to also tell you what was told to me about what occurred about 3 weeks before Mr. Copeland's death. Now, also, I always go and get the police report from his death. So I went down to the police department where I normally go, and they sent me to the sheriff's office. Now, the sheriff's office, they gave me this blank sheet of paper. Now, normally it has a lot of details, but as you see right there, it only has death investigation. So when I grabbed the paper, I asked the lady, where's the information? Usually they have, the man was found in the cell and, what time. And there's nothing on this paper except death investigation. And so I said, well, how do I get information? And she said, well, I have to go down to the Wayne County Sheriff annex building off the highway. Now, I've been there before. I don't like going in there because you can't even talk to anybody. You go into these doors and you press a button and people come out, but they're very cold too. I've been there a couple of times. I don't like going up there. Nevertheless, let me get into this article. Now, the article was written by Sam Dietrich. He's a young reporter. I've met him a few times from the News Argus, and I can't say anything bad about him, and I don't fault him for this article because I know this is how papers do, especially when concerning the death of a black man who has possibly been in trouble in the past. So I don't fault him for this. I know this probably came from his editors, or they just give him a template. Tell about the death, tell a little bit, but make sure you tell this. And I'm going to tell you what this is in a minute. Now, the article reads, the identity of a Wayne County inmate who died in his cell Tuesday has been confirmed, but the cause of death has not been released. Now, I don't know if he means confirmed unto the newspaper, because if you're in jail, you got an armband on. So they know exactly who you are when you died. So hopefully he's talking about it was confirmed from the News Argus standpoint, not from the jail standpoint. But continuing on, it says, Tamarcus Copeland, 51, an African-American male, was found unresponsive in his cell bunk bed at 5:30 a.m. Tuesday at the Carrie Winders Detention Center at 900 North William Street by detention staff, said Joel Gilley, Wayne County Public Information Officer. He said the detention staff and emergency medical services paramedics tried but were unsuccessful in reviving Copeland, who was pronounced dead at the scene, meaning he was found dead pretty much in his cell. Gilley said Gilley declined to confirm the cause of death, which is being investigated by the State Bureau of Investigation. So here they're saying they don't know the cause of death, and it's being investigated. Once again, that's what this paper said. He said anything further would be from the SBI on the investigation, Gilley said. Angie Grube, State Bureau Investigation Public Information Director, was not able to confirm the cause of death pending the results of an autopsy performed by the NC Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. We are awaiting the autopsy reporting from the medical examiner, Gruby said. So basically they're saying they don't have any information as to why he died. And I myself, once again, ordered the reports from the medical examiner's office. As of today, I have not received them yet. When they come in, I might have to revisit this topic. But what I want to focus on is the diss that I told you about earlier. This is the diss that I want you to bear with me through. And once again, this is just very, I think, disgusting how they do this in the wake of this man's death, where his family, this is an article they're writing about his death, but now we have to read this. It says, Copeland, a convicted felon, has been in and out of prison since 1992, when he was convicted in Wayne County for a common law robbery and assault with a deadly weapon, inflicting serious injury, according to the NC Department of Adult Corrections. Now, this article brings up a charge in the wake of this man's death that is 32 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong. 32 years old. What does that have to do with this man's passing in this particular instance? Once again, they have to denigrate this man. They have to vilify him, even in death. This was not necessary to mention those charges. Now, if you follow what has been done throughout the nation in any of these high-profile murder cases by the police, you always have, Alton Sterling, they brought up his charging. Eric Gardner, they brought up his charging. George Floyd, they brought up his charges. Breonna Taylor, they tried to criminalize her. Every instance that you see, nearly every instance that you see when police kill somebody, they always bring up their charges to make it to make the victim looked like the villain. And that is what we see they're doing here, which further leads me to there may be some truth to this information that I'm about to share with you that was shared with me by his loved one. They continue on. He said he has been convicted of multiple felonies and misdemeanors in Wayne County through the years, including assault on a policeman and assault on a public official in 1995, and assault inflicting serious injury and damage to property in 1997. Once again, that's 1995. 29 years ago, 1997, 27 years ago. What do these charges have to do with his particular death right now in this moment? Another tactic that is used to get the public to say, oh yeah, he was just a violent criminal that needed to die, and there's no need to looking into what really happened to this man, because of course he was a violent criminal, right? And notice everything that they're mentioning are violent crimes. Now, I've never known Twice to be a violent person. I always knew him to be a smooth cat. But once again, anybody can take it there when they get to that level. But I don't know the particulars of these charges, so I'm not going to speak on that. But I just know his character as it relates to me. Lastly, they continue on. He was convicted on several driving while impaired and drug charges since 2001. Once again, that's 23 years ago. He was being held after receiving an 18-month sentence on a March 2023 DWI level 2 conviction in Wayne County. Now, even that incident, I've been told that there were some circumstances surrounding that incident that needs to be addressed. But my point in reading that article was how they just assassinated this man's character in this article without having to. Like, after they said we are awaiting the autopsy report from the medical examiner, the article should have been ended there. What is the reason for these last two paragraphs? Let me tell you, because once again, if something did happen to him, then this would bias the public against him receiving justice, because they have already painted him as a villain, as a violent criminal, as someone who this is what they're saying psychologically. Oh, he deserved to die. Look what he's done in his past. That's what they say in these articles. And you can go through the annals of all of the police murders and assaults, and that's what they do. So I'm very disappointed, but I expect nothing less, of course, from the news August, because that is and the media in general, because that is how they operate. Now, the family member who alerted me to this article also told me that 3 weeks prior to Mr. Copeland's death, he allegedly alerted one of his family members and requested them to ask for the body cam tape from a particular officer or officers or a particular night, because he claimed, according to the information that was given to me, that he was beaten and tased by officers. Now, because of my study of this subject and because of my own experiences, I do not take that as a far-fetched claim. Because once again, I think if you see the video from 10 years ago, you saw me talk about when they had Boo Love behind the courtroom beating and tasing him. So this is the tactic. Once again, I refer to Graydon Parker and several others. We can tell stories all day about police officers beating people while they're in custody. And because this claim has come to light, then I also question their their claim of, how he died. And I've heard a few. I won't say how, they said he died because I don't know now. Could this be a result of this beating and tasing that he reportedly told his family members about? And it all makes sense because, why would they go to such lengths to denigrate this man, to defame this man in this article relating to his death? And you see how this article, and you people may, may not like this comparison, but once again, I did the story about police officer Matthew Habermas, who in the article they wrote about him, they said he died in his home on such and such a date. He served the community for, this amount of years. He loved fishing and, outdoorsing and hunting with his friends and all of these pretty good things about Mr. Habermas, right? But there was no mention that Mr. Habermas took a 9mm or 40 caliber and put a bullet in his own head. Now, after I did that article, I started receiving information about the possible reasons why he did that. Now, allegedly, because this was told to me that Mr. Habermas was involved in some evidence removal from the room. Somebody had him on camera and he was about to be, either fired or let go or, even arrested. I'm not sure. That is the reason why people have told me that he put that bullet in his head. But that article didn't say that about him though, right? That article didn't say, he was under suspicion of, taking evidence from the evidence room and doing something criminal with it. That article didn't say that about him. Also, information was given to me about Mr. Habermas about how 2 weeks prior to him killing himself, or a month, he was driving a motorcycle fast and almost killed himself then. He was in a very serious motorcycle accident. That article in his death didn't have all that information about him. All of that denigrating, all of that vilifying, all of that damning information to assassinate his character and get the public to question, the value of his life. They only put good things in the article about a police officer who was alleged to been in some suspicious activity, and also who killed himself, and also who almost killed himself on a motorcycle. None of that information was put in that article. Yet we have Mr. Copeland, who was convicted of crimes over 30 and 27 years and 25 years ago, and who died, once again, under suspicious circumstances. They got to put all of his past indiscretions in this article. So I hope y'all see what I'm saying. This is what they do. Now, they didn't put Mr. Copeland has been holding a job since he was 14. They didn't say Mr. Copeland was a father of his children. They didn't say he was a great brother, a great uncle. He was a great provider. They didn't say any of those things. So you see the difference in these two articles. One is an inmate who died under what they can't even say why he died, but according to the family member, there may have been some foul play involved in his demise. So I just want y'all to look at this two-edged sword on how the media will quickly bring up the past of Mr. Copeland and further damage his family, further, bring stress. And, the family member that called and told me about this article, they were just so disgusted. They were frustrated when somebody showed this article to them earlier this week. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to look into it, because now, I received the new information that, he was beaten and tased, reportedly, according to one of his other family members, that he wanted that body camera footage. So I'm very, once again, disappointed and disgusted in these articles because I see past what they're going to do. There's no reason to put all of these charges in there when we're talking about the death of a man in police custody. They said he was already sentenced, so he's actually paying his debt to society for a DWI. And mind you, I've had 7 of them, so that's nothing. That's neither here nor there. And there's a lot of people who have them, and have friends in the court that will let them out and not even be in the paper. Nevertheless, that's a whole nother topic for another discussion. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. 919-587-7782. Feel free to call me as well if you have any information. And like I mentioned, I actually received the call from one of the deputies who was implicated in the lawsuit for Mr. Graydon Parker. And he told me how things go down in there. So best believe once you're behind them walls, many, not all, but a lot of those COs and deputies, it's sort of like a mob mentality. It's very barbaric, especially when they get the group gang on tactic. When somebody's not complying. But once again, I offer my condolences to Mr. Copeland and his family, and I hope everything gets brought to light about his passing. If there's anything that needs to be further investigated, I pray that the family will get the justice and the closure that they deserve. But nevertheless, y'all have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace and blessings.